Everyone, and welcome back. I'm just going to be doing another quick database project where I'm going to create a whole database, show its relationship through a diagram, and I believe I'm also going to do a backup using SQL Server Agent. So here we're going to make a sales database with a few tables: customer, invoice, line, product, vendor, and account transaction. And here you can see the primary key for customer number is connecting to the invoice for customer number and the account transaction customer number, which these are going to be foreign keys. Anything with these little keys on the diagram are essentially going to be primary keys, and leading up to the next table, it's probably going to be a foreign key. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start creating a database. So our command is going to be create database sales. Let's capitalize that. Underneath this, I'm just going to type go so that we can do a continuous command. And we're going to switch it from our master database. We're going to switch it to our sales database. We're going to type in use sales, enter, and then type in go for our next statement. In our next statement, we're going to create our first table. So our first table, I believe, was our customer table where we have customer number as our primary key. And I think in one of my other databases, I already have customer set up. So I'm going to make this a customer 2 table. So I'm going to go create table customer 2. I like to capitalize some of the titles to the columns. And we're going to start entering in some of these columns. And the first one is going to be cust. So let's capitalize that cust underscore number. This is going to be an integer, and this is also going to be our primary key. I'll put a comma, and then I'm going to add the next column, which is cust underscore last name varchar. I'll just say 20 characters, not null. I'm just going to go through this all fairly quickly. So if you need to, you can pause the video so you can see, so you can catch up if you need to. But it's all going to be fairly simple, where the character limit size is probably only going to be 20. Make sure everything is not null. This one's going to be a little different because it's just initial, so it just makes sense to make it like 2 characters. Oh, look at that, I already saw a mistake right here. Okay. Customer phone, also an integer, nothing special. Next is our customer balance. We're just going to make this money. And that ends that statement. So then we're going to end it with go. So we have our create table, the table name, customer 2. We have all the columns, the type of data, if it's a primary key or if it just has a character limit, if it's required to be filled. Go. And then our next one is invoice and account transaction. So this one's going to get interesting because we have like date and subtotal and tax, and quite a few numbers in here, so we're going to use a couple of different data types. So our first one we're going to start with is we're going to create the invoice table. I type in create table invoice, and then we're going to start popping in our statement for various columns. The first one is going to be invoice underscore number. It's going to be integer. It's going to be our primary key. And then we've got customer number. This is also going to be an integer, but not null. Then we got invoice date. And the data type is going to be called date. And then we have our invoice subtotal. And this is going to be money, not null. Invoice tax. I'm going to make this a decimal. And the reason why is because it's going to represent the decimal of a percentage. And then invoice total, money, not null. Invoice pay type. This will be something like cash card. So we're going to make this varying with either letters or numbers. Some will make it varchar 20, just a good round number, not null. And then invoice pay amount, money, not null. And we've got invoice balance. I think this also should be a invoice balance, money, not null. I think I'm supposed to make a connection with that, but I'm just going to leave it as is. Constraint. Next is where we're going to identify our foreign key from the customer. So as you can see here, we have our customer number. This is going to be our foreign key. So right underneath this last statement, we're going to type in constraint. Cust underscore number underscore. We're going to name it. This is the name for the foreign key. Okay. Let me type in foreign key. And we're referencing the customer number. From, I'm just going to hit, let's see if I can make this smaller so you can see this better. There we go. References. Our table is customer 2. And it's referencing the customer number column from the customer 2. And then we got to end with another parentheses because this is the closing parentheses to the beginning parentheses at the beginning of that. And this identifies our foreign key. I want to do this. We're going to type and go for our next statement. We're going to go create table account transaction account transaction number, This is going to be an integer, but it's also going to be our primary key for this table. I'll make that capital so it stands out more. There we go. Okay, next one is our account trans date. Data type is going to be date, not null. We got customer number, not null. Then we got account trans type. We're going to make this varchar 10. Let's make that 20 so it looks like everything else. Now in real life, there's going to be varying amounts, but just for example, on purpose's sake, I'm just making it all very similar. And we got account trans amount. Money is going to be the data type and not null. And then we have constraint. We're going to put in the constraint to name the foreign key referencing the customer number field from customer to table. But understand we already have a foreign key named customer number FK. So we're going to actually change this up a little bit because we have to now create a different name for this foreign key, even though it's referencing the same column. So we're going to type out constraint. Cost underscore number underscore FK2. That's it. I'm just identifying this is the second one. This is a foreign key. We're referencing the customer number field. From the customer to. There we go. All right. Next statement. We're going to type in go because we're going right next to the next statement, which is creating another table. And this table is called line. So we've got an invoice number, line, product code, line units, price, and amount. Okay. Line numbers. Primary invoice number is coming from this invoice number here, so that makes this invoice number actually a foreign key. And this line number not being used anywhere else, so it's being identified as the primary key. But the product code over here, the product code is supposed to be on the foreign key of the product code here in product, which is the primary key. So let's see if we can get that all straightened out. So we've got two foreign keys, which is invoice number and product code, and we've got line number, which is the primary code, I believe. All right, let's see if I can remember all that. So, actually, before I start this one, why don't we make a part 2 of this since 15 minutes are almost up, and you can get caught up, come back again, and look out for part 2.